Hi guys, here we are again, and I just noticed in this Wednesday, December 22nd, 2010, in the op-eds page, there's a wonderful little article here, the library at Pooh Corner, about these stuffed animals from the Winnie the Pooh, that they made at the very beginning, 85 years ago, when Winnie the Pooh was first written. This is by Jennifer FINNEY BOYLAN. So let's read this. Belgrade Lakes, ME. Could that be Maine? Anyway, the library at Pooh Corner. 85 years ago, this holiday season, the London Evening News published a short story about a boy and a beer, written by an assistant editor at Punch named A.A. Milne, thus engendering 4 children's books, a slew of films and videos, and a merchandising empire estimated to be worth more to the Disney Corporation than Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto combined. It also resulted in my finding myself in tears last holiday season in the Stephen A. Schwartzman building of the New York City Public Library. The story goes back 35 years, in the 1980s. In the 1980s, I had a gruesome copy editing job at E.P. Dutton, the American publishers of the Winnie the Pooh books. One of my colleagues was a crusty septuagenarian named Elliot Graham, whose title was Director of Publicity Emeritus. Elliot was the shepherd of the original Pooh stuffed animals: Pooh, Tigger, Tanga, Piglet, and Eeyore, which were kept in a glass case in the Dutton Library, in the Dutton lobby on 2 Park Avenue. He'd take them to schools and literary festivals and the sets of early morning news shows. In other words, they had these bears and the little stuffed animals, and he would take them all of these places as a symbol of the Winnie the Pooh, the story. We used to talk about the Pooh animals together, Elliot and I, as if they were members of a rock band, and Elliot their long-suffering manager. When Dutton was sold in 1985, the Pooh animals became the private property of the company's former owner, John Dyson, the chairman of the New York State Power Authority. I don't know the exact terms of the agreement that handed the Pooh animals over to the Dyson family. What I do know is that the glass case in the E.P. Dutton lobby was empty afterwards, and Elliot Graham had no animals to shepherd anymore. Some days you'd see him just standing there looking into the empty case. It was sad. I hadn't thought about any of this in 25 years until the week before the holiday season last year, when I walked into the Schwartzman building to see a friend who works in the children's book room. There in a glass case in the center of the library were all the Pooh animals, just as I remembered them. Pooh, Eeyore, even little Piglet, who was not much more than a threadbare pincushion. Owl and Rabbit were fruits of Milne's imagination. Roo is said to have been lost in Ashdown Forest in England in the 1930s. As I learned, the animals had not remained with the Dysons forever. The family donated them to the New York Public Library, where they had been ever since. A 1987 article in the Times noted that an older man, a Mr. Elliot Graham, was present on the occasion of the animals' return to New York. Quote, "If I were an ordinary person," he was quoted as saying, there'd be tears in my eyes. I quit my job at Dutton in 1985 and headed off to graduate school to study fiction writing. Back then I wasn't sure what was going to happen to me once I went out into the world to seek my fortune. It seemed entirely possible to me at the time that I was about to fall off the edge of the earth. On my last day of work, there had been a knock on my office door, and a crusty, bear-like voice said, "There's someone here who wants to say goodbye to you." And I turned to see Elliot Graham standing there, holding the original Winnie the Pooh. He held the bear toward me and nodded. "Go ahead," he said dryly. "You can hug him." So I did. He was soft. When I was done, I gave Winnie the Pooh back to Elliot. When I was done, I gave Winnie the Pooh back to Elliot. He looked at me and nodded and said, "Good luck at school," and walked away. That was the last I saw of him. I've thought about Elliot every once in a while, in the years since then. I suppose I should have called him up sometime and let him know I did not fall off the edge of the earth. But of course he died years ago when I was busy typing, while I was busy typing. On that December day last year, my friend and I headed out into Midtown, New York. New York was all dressed up for the holiday season. There on the corner was the restaurant where my father used to take me. There was the Daily News building where I had a job in 1984. There was the Lollipop Street clock at 43rd Street and 5th Avenue where my sister and I used to meet. I haven't seen her in a long time. And I thought of the ending of The House at Pooh Corner, in which our hero takes his leave of the companions of his youth. Quote, "But wherever they go and whatever happens to them on the way, in that enchanted place on the top of the forest, the little boy and his bear will always be playing." So that is by the Library at Pooh Corner. That is by Jennifer Finley Boylan. We can quote that again. "But wherever they go and whatever happens to them on the way, in that enchanted place on the top of the forest, a little boy and his bear will always be playing." Okay, so that is this wonderful article, The Library at Pooh Corner, by Jennifer Finley Boylan. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks.